Hello and welcome, Reverend Grace here. So this week's video should have been, it's such an amazing conversation I had with a lady called Alethea Sophia, and it's the second part of it will be the second part of her Voices Rising series. But I'm not brilliant with technology, and we recorded it on Whereby, and now I can't manage to convert the file. And I had some not brilliant news about my one of my teachers on the ministry course, and I just went out and went to the shore and did some qigong in the sunset and some prayer for her. So I gave up on wrangling with this technology, and I will come back to it. So anyway, it's always my intention to put a video out this week, and I've just come back from serving at church, and we have contemplative prayer group before that, and yeah, it just came to me in the prayer time, in the communion service, about the video, just putting out a quick video this week on how truth always outs in the end. This is something that I have, I've always, well, for a long time I've understood this. When I was in my 20s, I seemed to have a series of boyfriends who seemed to think that I was absolutely amazing and it was all great. But each one of them, well, from my late teens and into my 20s, each one of them basically cheated on me and had flings and affairs and all the rest of it with other girls, and but it was each one, when it came to an end, it was one in particular. Anyway, and the funny thing was that they must have been carrying that on for so long, each one of them, and I don't know, did they just think that that was cool and they were going to get away with it? But every time they kept getting caught out, or they didn't get caught, the truth would always out. And so then obviously, it all went tits up. But the more this kept happening, I was just thinking, God, are they mad? Like, do they not realise that in the end, if you're doing something deceitful, and I see it, I can't think of bring another example to mind, but you see, situations, people doing certain things, and then sure enough, they get found out in the end. And however it goes on for, sometimes these deceptions can go on for quite a while, and you might be looking on and thinking, wow, God, they just seem to be getting away with that. No, truth always outs in the end. It just always does. When I was in church a minute ago, it made me think of when I was a little kid. We lived out in the sticks, and my mum was a really good cook. And she also really kept us on this thing of like, we didn't have sweets all the time, and our sweet treats was sort of, our buns and cakes and things that nice puddings that she would make us. And then at Christmas, you got sweets and chocolate selection pack and things like that. And whenever Granny and Grandad came down from Suffolk, they would bring like the big tubes of jelly tots or Smarties, and so that it was always a treat. And Easter, obviously, you got your Easter eggs. So we would be, hankering after sweets and chocolate and stuff. And so I hatched this plan. My brother's 2 years younger than me, and we were pretty young. I don't know how old I was. I might even have just been sort of 4 or 5. So that would make my brother 2 or 3. But back in the day, you were allowed to roam. There was no sort of being kept indoors and your mother watching you. Your mother was like, off you go, get out and go and get some fresh air and go and play outside. So I hatched this plan, and I took me and my brother, we walked up the lane to the next house, sort of like half a mile away, and we went to see Mrs. Yule. And I asked Mrs. Yule if she had any hundreds and thousands or anything like that, because Mum was making a cake and she wanted to decorate it, but we didn't have anything to put on the cake. And I do remember Mrs. Yule looking a bit sort of like, Anyway, she did. She went and got us some hundreds and thousands. I think they were like the long little strandy ones, which is even better than the little dotty ones. And we come back down, and I don't quite know, because I just remember Mum catching us indoors with them. I almost think like we were so chuffed with ourselves, we almost presented them to her. I don't remember it. Anyway, she caught us out and then ended up quizzing us on, where or quizzing me, because I'm the older one, where did those hundreds of thousands come from? And I said, because I've always genuinely believed in fairies. I still do. And I said, wow. I said, it's amazing. I said, the fairies must have left them. There was this enormous tree in the corner of our garden. I said, there's this huge tree. I said, fairies have left them under that big tree in the garden. How amazing is that, Mum? And of course she knew. She knew that obviously that hadn't happened. And so she was, to my brother, Daniel, where did you get those from? And of course, my brother being my brother, he just went, oh, she made us go up to Mrs. Yule's house and we went and got them from her. And so anyway, she said, right, you two, you're going to get back up there and you're going to give those back to Mrs. Yule and you're going to tell her the truth. Oh, yeah, yep, absolutely, yep. So off we went, and knock on the door. Oh, Mrs. Yule. And I don't know if I planned it or if it just tripped off my tongue like a little kid. It's very easy when you're a kid. I can't do game playing or lie telling for love nor money now, but obviously I was good at it when I was younger. And I gave her them back and I went, oh, we don't, Mum doesn't need those anymore because she burnt the cake. And everyone in the whole area probably knew that my mum was better than Mary Berry. Mind Mary Berry, she was alive then, but she certainly wasn't a famous cook then. And but anyway, so that job done, and went back down to the house. And after a little while, my mum said, so what did you tell Mrs. Yule? Oh yes, no, we gave them back, and I and whatever I said, and then I remember she obviously didn't trust it, because I remember her saying, Daniel, what did she tell Mrs. Yule? And my brother just went, she told her that you burnt the cake. So that was it. We were put in the car. She didn't even walk us up the road. It was like, get in that car, up the road. Telling Mrs. Yule, and you tell Mrs. Yule the truth. Knock, knock, knock on the door again. He's like, oh. So yeah, maybe it was just that experience that has, I've never really lied ever again. You tell maybe white lies like, do I look good in this? Yeah, you look great, unless they look absolutely awful. And they're gonna, I just, oh yes, you look fantastic. I think we all tell little white lies like that. And partly this is coming to me because at the moment in particular, because when I'm, after not watching any YouTube for Lent, I'm now back on the YouTube. Although interestingly, having had that 7-week break, I'm very more selective about what I watch. So in some sense, I let things just pop up. And in other senses, I actively seek but I'm more selective about what I watch. But videos came up the other day, and it's about why the Jews aren't God's chosen people. And this guy has really, at the beginning, it seems like a really informative video, and he looks like he's really done his research and he really knows his stuff. It's the sort of the impression you get. I can't qualify whether he actually does know his stuff, and I certainly haven't gone and done an epic amount of research on what he's researched. But it seemed like, oh yeah, that made sense because the Jews were exiled and then they came back, and when they came back to the land that they were in before, these Ebionites had moved in, so then there was this blending of Ebionites and Jews, and then, you know, all over the generations. He's trying to say that the people that are in Israel are not necessarily the Jews of the Bible. And it's an interesting thing, because are you talking about Jews from Judea, or are you talking about Jews, people that practice Judaism? And it's another one of these language things and these categorization things, and it can all get very technical. Of course, we're all just humans, and there didn't used to be borders, and so yeah, it's and of course, with what's going on with Israel and Palestine at the minute, it's a real melting pot. And then as you get through the video a bit more, then he starts talking about Zionists, and wow, he really raises like some Epsteins and some, was Weinstein the other dodgy one? There was one with the dodgy island, the paedophiles, and then but he starts raising all these names, and basically they're all well-known people, and in America and around the world, that are quite sort of high-standing public figures, and they're all appear to be doing really not brilliant stuff for the world community, and they're all atheist Jews. So there he must be talking about people that are calling themselves Jews because they live in Israel, or they're Israeli, or they would consider themselves Israeli, the supporters of Israel, like the ones that are now citizens of America, as opposed to people that are following the Judaic faith. See, I feel like I'm a little bit myself in a minefield here. I'm trying to be very careful about what I say. I'm literally just saying it as my understanding of this program. Sometimes I have to watch these things 2 or 3 times if I really want to get a good understanding to be able to relay it to others. Anyway, then probably as a consequence of watching that, this guy popped up again yesterday, and it was kind of the same thing, but he's reframed what he's talking about. But then an interesting lady popped up. I believe she is living in Israel, and she is a Jew. She had relatives of hers, ancestors of hers, die in the Holocaust, and she was talking about a similar thing to him, or the same sort of information to him about this Zionism thing, and how to get a grip of this fully, you're going to have to go and look yourself. But it's this whole thing that she's even raising arguments about and proposals and things to understand about the situation with what Israeli forces and the government are doing to the people of Palestine. She also interestingly says, now was it her or was it him? Now I'm getting in my memory the 2 videos confused. But she was saying, one of them was saying about how on earth, it's either the Israelis going into Palestine or the Palestinians coming into Israel, when it's the most enforced border, strictly enforced border of the whole planet. Like, how was this possible? Oh, now was it? Maybe it was. But then actually, they're saying that the Hamas, this all kicked off. Well, this initially now has kicked off, hasn't it? Because Hamas came from Palestine and got into Israel and took the young people from the festival, if my memory serves me correctly. That seems like a long time ago now. That was back last year. I mean, I think these problems, certainly when I was a kid, I remember war in Lebanon and places, and yeah, my granddad was in World War II, and he was in Palestine at that point, near the end and at the end of the World War II, and this all stems back. Yeah, it's really, I shouldn't really continue speaking on this because it's something you have to go and check out these videos for yourself. But yeah, if you start, where's my phone? I'll tell you what, I will. Let's see the videos that you can go and find for yourself, because I can find them in the history. So another aspect of this is, and this is something that bloke, oh, what is his name? Good grief. He's been over to Gaza and Israel, and he goes and checks out these things, always speaks out on things. Oh, one of them. Okay, so Double Down News is the channel. The video is 9 minutes 35. Jewish journalist exposes Israel's dark secret history. Now that's the one that came up that was interesting, because it kind of gave the same argument as this other bloke. Oh, this is the guy. Here we go. Is it him? Zionism's dirty little secrets, propaganda, communism, and a false messiah. Now, is this the bloke? Let's have a looky-see. Yeah, it is the same. The Dance of Life podcast with Tudor Alexander, Why the Jews Are Not God's Chosen People, and then in brackets it says 2024. So this is the video that it's an hour and 23 minutes, so dig in. But if you're interested in what I'm rambling on about here, and I just, because of the way my little brain works, I've got like a big brain, but I've also got a confused little brain. I don't know if it's my ADHD and my concentration span and my focus and trying to understand. I almost sometimes as well, and I haven't done it with this, but I had to literally understand the arguments that some people are making in some videos. I literally have to write the points down and the dates. I don't know, maybe you're the same. To really get what they're talking about. I would argue for myself, this is one of those videos. Anyway, so yeah, so then that kicked up the lady, the Jewish journalist. And that's only 9 minutes 35. So if you want a short watch, maybe dig into her video. And so yeah, the other thing about it is that we're not there. And what seems to be happening with this, with the anti-Semitism. So one of the things that the guy in the, I would try, because if you want to gain an understanding of things, you do have to sort of watch some of these things. And then it's being careful about where your sources are. But it's just interesting, or where his sources and points of research are. But it's interesting that lady who's the Israeli, actually, with ancestors that died of the Holocaust, and she's saying the same thing. I mean, at the end of the guy's video, the long one, Dance of Life, whatever his podcast is called, he then, he's digging into Zionism and anti-Semitism and where these terms have come from, and which I think is quite interesting. And what she's saying seems to be backing it up, if I'm understanding them correctly. And it's just this thing that's actually an expression of the wider, or a reflection of what's going on in the wider world. How through generations now we've just been sucked in to propaganda things, and conned and conditioned, and it's hard, especially now as well with the internet, and especially with AI, and they can literally just like mock up videos. They can mock photos, they can, it's all very clever stuff. They can make things look real. Like, what was it? There was a few things that popped up, I think it was on Instagram or something the other day, of President Trump, and he's having tea with somebody, and then it's all of our different political leaders in the UK having tea with somebody else, and it looked really real, but really it's not real. Especially when there's a whole series of them in the same room, and that's very unlikely to have happened. And it looked like somebody's sort of front room in a flat somewhere in London or something, and not a posh flat. No, it looked like an ordinary house. Anyway, I think it strikes me that there's a lot of people now that are really digging in to seek truth and meaning of life. And this thing of, there's a lot more people now. I've seen all sorts of videos and stuff popping up about more people, especially younger generations, going to church. And I just think that truth does always out in the end. So, and I think as well, when I was, if you watch the first video of Her Voice is Rising, my dear friend and colleague Laura, well, she's colleague in the sense that she's a reverend with one spirit like myself, and she was saying it's about our actions, and creating the change in the world is through our actions and our behaviour and our and I really think that we can feel so. I think so many people feel so powerless at the moment with political things, with what's going on in the world. There seems to be all these unelected organisations that are making massive decisions for us, and that can feel very threatening and another thing to sort of be in fear of. But I think I really feel, and you know, you think what you like about President Trump. I love what's gone on there, that the people of America, by the looks of it, have just gone, no, not having this shit. We're not listening anymore. We're going for it, whether we're making a big mistake or not. We're just going for somebody who seems to want to make change. And even if President Trump doesn't get it all right and does some disastrous things, and remember, when you're being told about some things that they're telling you that they're disastrous, actually that's probably not what's happening at all, maybe. But just what I liked about it was the same thing when we voted for Brexit, that more people engaged, that they wanted change. Of course, there's great apathy and people don't vote anymore now because they're just like, well, you're just stuck with the same party. But there is this growing sense that people want change, and I think in the same way that we initiate that through this thing of how we act and how we behave and the choices that we make in the world. I think that as truth, because it will always come out. So whether it's those Israelis and they're actually bullshitting everybody, and or whatever the thing is, that stuff that people say about President Trump does come to be known to be true, or actually a whole lot of stuff is surfaced about what's going on with the scandals and the corruption within our own UK government system, or civil servants, or whoever is running the show. I think this thing of truth, again, we're moving into the age of Aquarius, where consciousness is supposed to rise in this age. And I believe that is coupled with truth coming out, systems breaking down, things are changing. And I think that's exciting. I think it can be messy and it can be painful and it can create tension and war and things that look like destruction and horrific things. But again, I think that there is this underlying sense. I always think that the people in the power is a real minority. It's a really small amount of people, and no wonder they're petrified. So they're going to ramp their game up. Common sense would tell me that, or my sense would tell me that. I'm hoping we still have common sense. I think common sense is a thing that has been tried to be obliterated by the powers that be, either nationally or globally. But I think a common, that's what we need to reignite, this sense of common sense that we all know. I think the vast majority of people, in my experience, you can think that you can go out in a street and be scared of everyone, and actually I don't think that's true. I think that everybody knows right from wrong, and I think, or the vast majority, I'd be an idiot if I didn't think that there were people that weren't psychologically messed up, or I don't know if you can be born evil. I'm not. When you look at babies, I'm not sure you can be born evil. It's stuff that happens to us in the world, or maybe it is demonic forces getting to people. Whatever it is, I think essentially it's having the trust that there is this core in people, that they know right from wrong, and they want easy, and they want good, and they want good for everybody. And so I kind of think the other thing this morning, so when we go to the contemplative prayer, this group before church service on a Sunday that this lovely Canon Jane started, she would just do contemplative prayer, and then that would be that, and we'd sit in silence. But now, and then I got in charge for a few weeks, standing in for, and I decided, right, we're going to do contemplative prayer and then have a bit of a sharing or whatever at the end. And so we did that. She's back now, and so she thinks that's a great idea. So we do it like that. And in our discussions today, she was talking about how even in times when you're actually just praying and you're praying for yourself, it has a greater effect. There's something going out into the world, and actually she reckons that people, or she's read somewhere, I'm not sure which, that when people are praying for themselves all the time, they do come to realize that that's, it doesn't feel that great after a while, and they start praying more outwardly for others. And then I imagine it like the Buddhist nuns and monks that are in monasteries and nunneries all around the world, but especially the ones like India, northern India, going into Nepal, Tibet, up that end of it all, and they are devoting their lives, a lot of their lives, to prayer for the world and for people. And I kind of feel that sets in the same way that if masses of people meditate all at the same time, it sends out something into the world. And for the positive, it like has an effect on the ether or the energy or the something, the grid network or whatever you want to call it. And I think that it's the same as this sitting in contemplative prayer or meditation for others. This thing of this truth unfolding. I think as more people, even if you don't realize it and it doesn't seem overt, I think there are a lot more people, and I'm talking, it must be millions and millions now, that are engaging with faith, spirituality, contemplative prayer, healing, different modalities that are putting something out into the atmosphere, into the ether, into the heavens, into the, what do the physicists call it? I don't know what they call it. Anyway, it's like a big old mesh around the world in an energetic sense, I suppose. I can't think what they call it, but it doesn't really matter. And so, yeah, it's being mindful of your individual actions, your individual behaviours, and words that you say and things that you do, to make it, because truth, if you're doing something deceptive, truth will always out. So watch yourselves. And I think that has a knock-on thing. It gives, I really still strongly have a hope that, this truth coming out and people taking more right action and coming to understand that we are all interlinked in this, in far more of a sense than we would be led to believe or that we feel. And so much fear is put on us. It's like I say, these powers that be, in whatever form, or whether it is like, whether they're possessed by the demonic or there are demonic forces, or whether they're alien species from eons ago. I'm not even sure. There's so many stories out there, but there is some sort of seed of truth there. And if you imagine that if you're the small elite, whether they're reptilian species from wherever, or they're just people that have got a blooming shed load of money and power and they don't want to give it up, they're going to be grasping onto that, and they have the ability, especially now with social media, to put out into the world. And so, just rebut that fear. Know that there are the vast majority, which is the majority of people in the world. I think they know good, they know right from wrong, and they are praying, and they are. I think so many people are. I like to hope that they're stepping out of fear. Just try and hold that in your daily lives. Live truthfully. Live and express yourself from your heart, and just try and rebut that fear, even when it seems like all is lost. It really isn't. Now is the time of all times to realise that all is not lost. And yeah, truth does always out in the end. Those people doing wrong will get found out. And I think this has been happening more and more and more. We're seeing a wave of it more and more and more. And that's building up. And you might not know it as an individual sat in your home watching this. But I have a strong sense that there are so many people that know. And they are making choices and trying to live with hope. And it's a case of just trusting that that is really happening, that there are a vast majority, and light and good does always win out. It really does. That is enough of my ramblings and my wafflings, and I hope that you get something useful from this that strengthens you through your day, your week, your year, your life. Peace be with you.